Welcome back. Today we'll be going over the process I use to make our foundations for our new rainforest retreat that we will call home while here in New Zealand. We plan to have this as our temporary accommodation while we work on the more permanent structures, starting with the workshop for me and later down the track a nice new home that I will build using the workshop. If you have just started following along, I'm Mike, and together with my wife Sas, we have bought a beautiful piece of land on the west coast of New Zealand that we plan to turn into our ultimate private retreat. Also go check out the first video of us getting our water tanks all set up. This was a huge milestone for us. If not, stick around and see what we get up to in this episode. Now we have our tanks all filled, it's time to get stuck into building the foundations for our cabins. We're really looking forward to getting this project started and bringing you along for the journey. First, I start by setting up some timber profiles around the perimeter of where the cabins will be placed, and I set these back around 1 metre. To do this, I need to hammer in some timber pegs so I can then screw my timber battens to it. The purpose of doing this is to be able to tie off string lines that will act as a guide to where I need my concrete piles to be placed. I know, you must be thinking, why concrete and temporary foundations? But to be honest, we could keep this here for a while, and I'd rather do it properly and know it's all going to stay in the one place through whatever storm that gets thrown at it. Plus, I'm planning on reusing most of the foundation posts, so there will be very little waste at the end of it too. After all my string lines were set, and therefore marking out exactly where each post will go for all the buildings and the deck and the bathroom block, I then made a quick trip down to the local tool hire shop to pick up a hand auger, which I'll use to drill the holes for the posts and concrete. To be honest, this had been playing on my mind for quite a while, and I was always thinking I was going to have to hire a small digger with a drill attachment to dig all these holes, which was going to end up quite expensive, and I also thought it would also make quite a bit of mess on our wet section. I had all of them done and cleaned up in only a couple of hours. It was amazing, and the best part, it was only a fraction of the cost. So after going through and drilling all these holes, I then needed to go and pick up the timber posts needed for the foundation piles. This was the part I was looking forward to, as I just recently picked up a new electric chainsaw that I was eager to use on something. So after filling it with chain lubricant, it was time to get cutting. First I went around and measured each hole, and at the same time cut each post to length, prepping everything for when the time came to concrete. For this project I decided to use bagged concrete just to keep things simple, and also to help with the unpredictable weather, meaning I can do a few posts at a time during the dry spells. It was so useful having the caravan on site, and I used the outdoor shower to fill up the water of the concrete. Even though we have lots of water stored in those big tanks, we still don't have a pump installed, so the pressure coming off the tanks while going through 40 metres of hose is very slow. It works well to just trickle feed into the caravan for a few hours to fill the tanks, and then using the 12 volt pump and shower nozzle on the outside of the caravan as quick access to water. I carried on doing this until I ran out of concrete. In the first stage I got all the piles for the kitchen cabin concreted into place, and after that just made a quick trip down to the local hardware store to get more concrete. However, lately we've been having some really bad weather, which has just been absolutely relentless. I was grateful it was nice and dry for when I was drilling all the holes, but now it's started to bucket down, and all my nice new holes are full of water. So before I could do any more concreting, I had to empty each one by hand. This was not something I expected I would be doing while building in summer in New Zealand. Once the weather cleared, the day finally came for me to fill the last of the 30-something holes with concrete. This was an awesome feeling, as by this stage the whole process got a bit too repetitive, and working with concrete in mud all day isn't my favourite thing to do, especially being a Saturday. However, now it's done and the sun is shining, we decided it was time for a swim. So off we went down to the local surf beach for a quick dip and take Oscar for his much needed walk and a game of fetch. Thanks so much for watching, and if you're interested to keep following along on this journey, then keep an eye out for the next episode where we start preparations on the deck and Saskia attempts to paint the cabin in the blistering Taranaki heat. Until then guys,